Okay, Enisha, it's all yours.
Uh-oh, I have to take myself off mute. I got so excited to be here that I forgot to unmute myself. So my name is Enisha Ligon-Garrett, and we're going to talk about branding and marketing tonight. And branding and marketing, I like to call that the heartbeat of your business. So there's lots of different things that you have to master, from finances to your social media presence. That is an extension of your branding and marketing, and you're getting all those amazing resources here as being a part of MP Services. So I just want to dive into branding and marketing and show you how you can create what I like to call is $1 million brand experience. Because guess what? We're standing right next to Amazon and Apple when it comes to the choices of how people spend their money. And so I want you to show up like a pro and like $1 million brand. And I'm going to give you some resources and tools and strategies to do just that. So I love to use slides and visual examples. I'm going to be using my favorite tool, Canva. It's super easy to use in terms of creating beautiful visual examples. So I'm going to jump right over into Canva and just going to make this small. And just a little housekeeping. So please feel free. I want this to be interactive. So feel free to drop questions in the chat. I will pop over from time to time to address those. If there's something super pressing that you need to know, we want this to be super informal. Feel free to unmute yourself and say, hey, Enisha, I really want you to dive deeper into that because it's fresh on my brain right now. I do get really involved in the slides. I love this information and I love sharing it. So I will be deep in it. But feel free to, pop in there if there's something on your heart and you really want to talk about it. Otherwise, drop it in the chat and I'm going to make sure that we have plenty of time to get back to your questions. So without further ado, we want to talk about branding activated. And branding is a big word, and I like to call it an industry word. And I like to use the word client attraction, because that's really what your branding is designed to do. It's designed to attract your dream customers. And I'll talk about why your dream customers are important as we dive in, but that's what we want to do here today, is attract our dream customers. So I'm going to start with this question because I want you thinking about this. So drop me some ones in the chat. No, better yet, let's drop some $ in the chat if you are ready to show up like $1 million business. If you're ready to stand toe to toe with your competitors who are at the top of their game, because that's what branding really does. Good branding can equal the playing field, especially in this world of online business. You are just 1 degree of separation from your dream client. So drop those $ in the chat if you're ready to show up like $1 million business. But I want to start with, let's get all the minutia out of the way. What's stopping you? You're likely asking yourself one or more of these questions. Why is branding so complicated? Do I have to do all these 11,000 steps? And I can't create those fancy graphics. I'm not super creative. That's not my jam. I cannot do that. And I don't have time to be playing with colors and fonts. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I have a busy budding e-commerce store. I might have a catering business. I have to be focused on my business. I don't have time to be dealing with these colors and fonts. Or you know what? I've already got some loyal customers. Why do I need to focus on branding now? Is this really something that's necessary for me to spend my time and resources on? But I'm going to tell you, this is perfect for you. If you're ready to stop the scroll, that's what I always say, because that's what we're doing. If you can see me, this is what your customers are doing. They're moving their hands just like this, going on TikTok and all the other social media sites, and they're just going. And you've got to do something to stop them in their tracks and get them to hear you out. And I want you to be positioned as the only choice, which makes your competition irrelevant. You are the only choice because you've made such an emotional connection with your community and your audience. And above all, I want you to stop wasting time. I don't want you wasting time thinking about what my colors are, how my pictures should look, because look, we all want to show up perfect. We all want to show up looking our best and creating things that people want to see. So I want you to stop wasting time thinking about it, because you're going to have some strategies that help you implement with ease. And furthermore, we've got to leave a few myths behind. It's not all about the logo and cute flyers. And this is not only for big brands, and branding is not sleazy. It's not a salesperson's tactic, like a used car salesman or someone who's trying to take advantage of you. Branding is all about creating an experience for your clients. So you're going to walk away tonight understanding what branding is, and more importantly, what it's not, and some specific strategies that you're going to be able to implement in your business today. Right? So I wonder, and you might be wondering who I am. I'm just going to take a quick minute because I think it's relevant to the story, because I love this stuff so much and I want you to know how that happened. And so I've been for over 15 years, I've had various publications, either for myself or support clients with creating their own magazines. And above all, I've got this crazy gaggle of children and pets. As you might see there, we've got a ferret, a dog. We couldn't get the 2 cats in the photo. And then we also have 2 guinea pigs and a fish tank full of fish. And then I've got a bunch of little kiddos and a crazy family. We love having fun. That's myself and my husband. We're down in New Orleans a couple of years ago, renewing our vows. And having a lot of fun with the second line on Bourbon Street. And really the reason why that picture is so important to me is because I curated an experience there. And that's the same thing that you have to do in your business and with your brand, is create an experience for your ideal clients. But let me show you how I got here. So we all start somewhere. This is my very first publication. And I dug this out of the crates because I think it's important that, you know, today I'd be so embarrassed to share this, but at the time I was so proud. And so I think we have to get out of our own way. And so this is my little speech to you to start where you are. We're going to learn some tactics today, but you won't master them all in the next 40 minutes that I'm with you. But you have to be okay with starting where you are, because if I never did that, then we could have never done this. So this is the second iteration of my publication and what we were doing. We were a nightlife and entertainment magazine that was available at Super Bowl and All Star to promote all the parties. And then that evolved into what we're doing now. So now we're creating not only publications for ourselves, and they're beautiful and we have celebrities on them, but we also, I was also able to leave my 9 to 5. I was able to work myself through my genius out of my 9 to 5, because that's not where my passion was. I was there, I look all corporate, you know, I've got my corporate glasses on and my suit, and that just really wasn't where I was happy. And so we created our magazine BWMB, and this is where I just really dived into branding and understanding how we create a client experience. And so these tactics and strategies that you are going to learn today are rooted in my experience and rooted in best practices for the industry. So let's go. It's time to work. You know, this is my alter ego when I wake up in the morning. I'm just strutting, and there's in abundance around me, right? So let's get ready to work. If you're ready to work, let's drop those ones in the chat. Let's drop those ones in the chat if we are ready to get this work. Yeah. So we're going to start off with branding. Branding is an industry word, and it's often overused now, especially in this world on the internet. The influencers have a brand, your clothing line has a brand, brand. But what is brand? Well, your brand is really you. And you're made up of stories, you have a personality, there are colors and fonts and logos that will be displayed to represent who you are, who you serve, and what you sell. So you'll hear me say that a lot tonight: who you are, who you serve, and what you sell. If you haven't written down anything tonight yet, I want you to write that down: who you are, who you serve, and what you sell, because those are the 3 things that you need to have in mind at all times when creating your brand. And I'm going to tell you some specific things to watch out for within each one of those categories. But it's the big so what? Why do you care about branding? Because you want to attract better customers. You may be attracting some customers, but they may be hagglers. You may have had to lower your price. They may not be buying as much of your products or services that you want. You want to command a premium price. So some things you want to be the lowest price, but that's typically because you're selling a lot of them. Some things you want to be the highest price because you want to set yourself in an elite position. You want to command what you believe is a premium price for your service, where you feel good about it each and every day. You want to close more sales. You want to make it a no-brainer because your brand connects. They believe you are who you say you are. You show up like an expert. Everything looks fantastic. And let's face it, branding reduces your marketing costs. costs. Because when you show up and they're like, yes, I want to work with him, I want to work with her, you're reducing your marketing costs because you don't have to retarget. You don't have to get on multiple sales calls. You don't have to place your flyers or your advertisements everywhere because it's an easier first choice. And you want to create value in your company. You want people to see that this is a valuable commodity and I care what it looks like. I care what your experience is. And you want to solidify that brand authority. You want to be at the top of the list. When someone thinks of where to shop for whatever you sell, you want to be like one of the choices, one of the top choices. And they're like, yes, I want this. I want to consider this. It's worth the extra payments. It's worth the value. And you want to also, when you start hiring, if you're at that place in your business, you want to attract top talent. When you have a great brand, great people want to work for you. You need, as much as you need your customers to believe in you, you also need your team and your staff to believe in you. You want to own the word in your mind. So by way of example, when someone thinks of brand strategy or branding for women, I want them to think of me. I want to own that word in their mind. I want to be the only and obvious choice. I want to be the choice that's on the vision board. So let's say you sell graphic tees and they have these expressions on them. You want to be the person that when somebody's thinking about giving someone a special gift, they're like, yes, I want to shop at XYZ tees. I love those. Just like Apple owns the word in their mind. When you think of a cell phone, you think of an iPhone. Unless you're Team Android, you think of an iPhone when you think of a cell phone. So how do people find you? I know that's the thing. So when we think about marketing, we think about how do people find us? So if I'm going to own the word, now people have to find me. So these days, people find you on social media. Let's not forget about good old word of mouth, right? And when you are branded properly, your existing customers can't wait to refer you. You're the only choice. They want their friends and family and their colleagues to have an experience like they've had with you. So that creates referrals. And then definitely, if you're doing ads, both online and offline, they have to be beautiful. They have to look like somewhere I want to shop, something I want to be associated with. So let's look at the order of operations. Where are we going to start with this whole branding process? It's a lot. Where are we starting? So we're going to start with your why. And that includes your brand personality. So are you spunky? Do you have a brand that's very corporate? Do you have a brand that's fun and a little quirky? And this is the big one that especially so many new entrepreneurs want to skip, knowing your customer. Now, we talk about a customer avatar, and that's just a make-believe person that we create. They're often based on a customer we love or the kind of people we want to work with, but we're going to get very granular with who this person is, what are their attributes, and not just demographics, but also the psychographics, like what are their pain points and why does your product or service solve that problem? So your brand positioning and pricing, we talked a little bit about this, but are you the elite, most luxury and expensive, or are you the affordable option that people, is an entry-level price? You position yourself in that place, not only with your price, but with your branding and your messaging. And then you get into your visual logo fonts. That's where everyone usually starts with branding. They think you just, show up and make a logo. But guess what? If you don't take the time to do the other ones, and sorry about the typo there, we've got an extra number. If you don't do 1, 2, 2, and then 3 is going to be a difficult option because it's not going to resonate with yourself and it's not going to connect with your dream customers. And then once we have those things, we can start creating a website, digital platforms, and then your social media content. So many people are trying to do number 5, creating their social media content, but they haven't taken the time to get clear on who they are, who they serve, and then what they sell and how they want to be positioned in the market. So that's our order of operations. Because you want to be the only choice. And how do you become the only choice in the minds of your customers? I like to call it authority content. So even if you sell a product or you're a service provider, great ways to create authority content is writing blogs or writing blogs on your own website and on sites like Medium or sites that are relevant to your industry, on complementary products websites. Being on podcasts, being a guest on a podcast, or creating your own podcast. So that way you can talk about your industry, you can become seen as the expert in that particular industry. I have Oprah here because what's the goal? Like, everybody wants to be on Oprah, but how would you ever get on Oprah if you weren't seen as an authority on something? Whenever Oprah has on somebody that's not particularly a celebrity, it's because they own the word in their mind. You know, she has Deepak Chopra on. Well, he's the meditation guru, right? He's known for that. He has lots of content out there. He's the only choice. You can speak at conferences or local events and do local news interviews, creating a relationship with your local news outlet or even national news outlets, because that positions you as the only choice. And then there you go, you're on your road to being on Oprah. So what is your brand's personality? Remember, we talked about the order of operations. Well, here's a few examples of things you can do, because your brand personality is an extension of your purpose, your vision, your mission, and your values. So maybe your brand is very sincere. It's very heartfelt and gracious. You can do it, girl, because that's the kind of language then you would use on your social media copy. Maybe it's exciting and intense. You're jumping around and you're doing all the TikTok dances and all the things. Maybe you are very professional and corporate and you teach in a very 1, 2, 3 format. Here's the 5 reasons why you should use my body butter, because it does X, Y, and Z. So you see how I use that example of body butter or a product, because this is not just for your service providers. Even if you sell a product, you also have to be the authority on that product, because you need to educate people on why you're the obvious choice. You could be a sophisticated luxe brand, right? Where it's very bougie and you're always seeing all the designer brands in your social content because you want to attract those kinds of people into your brand. Or it could be rugged and adventurous. I see you out on vacation and you're rock climbing and you're jumping over things, or you're always working out. You're outside when you do things and you love nature, because you want to reflect what you want to attract. And you also, look, this is a pro tip, everybody, you want to also repel the kind of people that are not your dream clients. Because as we know, and I'm going to say this in a little bit of a way, all money ain't good money. And we want to be very careful about the kind of people that we come invite into our business to share our energy. So by way of example, let's say you want to dress sexy in your brand. We've left the days of corporate and you want to wear a short dress and you want to have those kinds of references. It's fine. The world no longer expects you to dress like a banker, right? I was interviewing a real estate agent earlier, and she is very sexy. She had on a bikini and people were like, you're never going to sell houses. And she's one of the top real estate agents in her market. And not because she is sexy, but because she's authentic and she attracts the kind of clients that want sexy homes. They want to have sexy experiences. They want to live those kinds of lifestyles. But if this is the way you show up visually, I'm expecting to have that kind of experience. So if I showed up at your showing, I would probably want a glass of champagne, not a glass of tea. You got to think about the entire experience of the words you're sharing. So then we jump into brand voice. And so this brand voice applies to my company, right? So I'm going to give you some examples here. We're empowering and uplifting. We very much encourage the women that are part of our community. You can do this. I know it's a lot of steps, but it's worth it, right? We're friendly and fun. So I like to have a lot of fun. I like to travel. I like to go out to brunches, but no mean girls. Everyone can sit with us. I hate the mean girl attitude that you see sometimes online. So we make sure that we do not use that kind of language. It's very welcoming. But I also have an extensive corporate background. So it's functional flair. I don't want to be boring, but I am very 1, 2, 3. And that goes into our professional and ambitious. We want to climb the ladder. We want to build big businesses. We want to employ lots of women in our community, all of those things. So functional and flair leads right into professional and ambitious. So you can choose the words that you want your brand to sound like, and then you create communication guidelines around them. Like, so we never use the word boss chick in our brand, because I feel like boss chick is a mean girl word. And so you're creating words that just aren't allowed because they're not in alignment with how you want to sound in the brand. So don't forget, if you're having questions as we're moving along, to drop them in the chat. I don't want you to lose them, or unless you jot them down. But if you have questions, and even if they're specific to you, make sure you drop those in the chat so we can get you addressed on those. So what does that look like now in our brand? So this is this is a screenshot of what our social media presence used to look like. We've done some rebranding since then, but I think this is a great example. If you look here, you'll see the state of emergency. When COVID started, we did a mini conference, and we put it together in just a few days to address some of the concerns with mental health and finances that people were facing right when COVID started, because we just didn't know what was going on. We spotlight a lot of Black female entrepreneurs, our blog, we give money tips for sending emails that don't get deleted, because we know these are all pieces of your brand. So we want to share content that relates to that, that's in our voice. And this is our brand. This is what our brand looks like from a visual standpoint. So I wanted you to see how some of those things we've already talked about start to come together, but we're going to take that a step further. You've also now more than ever got to tell your story in your brand. I'm just going to keep it real with you. People are nosy. They want to get to know you, but they're also just nosy. We've created an environment where everyone thinks that they get to know part of your life. Well, you know what I do? I put it in buckets. There's only certain buckets of my life I'm going to share. So I love sharing my kids, because I think having small kids and trying to run a business is pretty fascinating. So I'll share my kids and their shenanigans with our pets and stuff like that. I'm very transparent about, what it feels like to start a business in your 40s after leaving corporate, and some of those trials and tribulations that women of that certain age share. And then I'm also very transparent about sharing fun, because I think more women at my age should be having fun in their life and business. So those are my buckets. And when you visit our social, anything that you see from a personal perspective are in those buckets. So you're not going to see me sharing a ton of like relationship stuff, family stuff. So people often say, I'm not going to share anything, because they don't want to share everything. But create your brand stories, because people connect with people. And so there has to be a person that is representing the business. Even now, big corporations, we hear the CEO stories, because people want to connect with people. So what do your customers desire? And then share the stories that are relevant to that. Because your brand is a promise of an experience. So think about car brands. I think car brands do a great job of saying who they are, right? So Volvo, that's dependability. Bentley, it's luxury. Ford tough. They're no, even though you can buy other cars from Ford, they want to be well known for their trucks. That F-150 is their jam. So BMW, Mercedes, when you're thinking about these various car brands, they are designed to attract a very specific customer, and the marketing and the experience does exactly that. So how can you implement this in your brand? This is the answer. We're right back to that. Who you are, who you serve, and what you sell. So I'm going to let that marinate. I'm going to get a quick drink of water, but I want you to stick on that. And if you haven't taken a screenshot or written that down yet, because these are three very distinct questions that I want you to be able to answer for yourself. All right. Who you are, who you serve, and what you sell. So who are you? That's your mission and vision. What is your mission of the business? So by way of example, your mission might be, I want to help over 500 women lose weight and live their best lives. I have a vision of doing this by 2023, and I'm going to do this through my online healthy weight loss challenges that I launch every 3 weeks, right? So mission and vision. What are your core values? My core values are no mean girls here. We're always going to encourage people. We're going to do this through healthy weight loss. We're not going to encourage supplements and fad diets. Your why. My why is because my grandmother and many women in my family suffered from chronic diabetes and high blood pressure because they were not living their best healthy lifestyle. And I don't want that for you. And my happy place. I am most happy when I'm in the gym. I'm most happy when I'm, at my favorite vegan restaurant. You see that how we just created a whole who you are around that particular person. Now, for me, it's much different, and for you, it'll be much different. But thinking about your mission and vision, your core values, your why, and your happy place, and then aligning that with who you serve. So not only do we have to understand the demographics, which are, she's a woman, she's 37 to 42, she lives in South Atlanta, and she is a dentist. She makes about $75,000 a year because she likes to work in her practice only part-time, because she values her happy place, which is spending time with friends and family and traveling. Her psychographics are that, yeah, she's had some, difficulties with self-esteem. And now she really wants to make sure that she has a handle on her weight loss situation. The problem definition is she hasn't had she's had bad knees, or she has tried weight loss programs and failed. So you see how now when I talk about my services and products, I can talk directly to her because I understand that. Because what I want to tell you is a mistake so many entrepreneurs make right in the beginning is we want to help everyone. And that's a fantastic mission, but we're not Walmart. We don't have that kind of budget to touch everyone. The riches are in niches. And when we really get clear on who we want to serve, that person can't wait to do business with us. They know we're talking to them. And so by defining that problem and their psychographics, it feels like this offer was created especially for them, and they can't wait to do business with you. So try that on for size. I want you to get really clear on who this person is, and then think about how you can best serve them through your mission, your vision, and your values. And then what do you sell? You may sell both physical and digital products, because that affects the kind of collateral you need to actually deliver on the promise. Now let's talk about all the pieces of the brand strategy, right? This is another place where you'll want to take a screenshot, but guess what? I'm also at the end, I'm going to give you a website where you can go and download a workbook that's going to help you through working through your brand strategy. It's going to ask you all of these questions that we've talked about, and you can really take action on the content here. So if we think about it in buckets, I'm a bucket person, right? Because you can't do everything at one time. We've got the brand substance. Like, what is it made of? It's made of your purpose, your vision, and your mission. But the strategy for how we're going to get it out into the world is through our values, our audience, our competition, and what makes us different. And I'm going to stick on that different one for just a quick second, because so many businesses want to be different, but I want you to be different that matters. Don't be different for the sake of being different. If you're going to be different, make it make sense, right? Make it be something that doesn't repel your dream clients, but makes you special. And now that you have all of that clear, you can now go out and express your brand. So your brand is a very personal thing. It's communication, it's visual. So these are the things that people usually think of when they think of brand identity, which is your logos, colors, and fonts. But it's really about the core messaging and the storytelling. What stories can you tell that are true to you and that are going to resonate with your ideal client for them to feel a connection with you? Think about the brands that you love and how connected you feel to them. So I want to showcase one of my clients here. This is Precious Brown, and this is how something like that all comes together. Precious is a lot of fun. She's a coach, and she helps people write books. Right? But she wanted to feel more fun. She wanted to have vibrant red hair because she wants to attract women that aren't stuffy. So when we did her photos, when we created her brand experience, we had to think about a way where she could show up in a way that she would only attract the kind of women who wouldn't be turned off by her fun and spunky personality. And so once we did that, then we start creating the marketing materials. So her website, her freebies, and her workbooks to work through her program, her marketing materials, how she shows up on social. So you see how the pre-work that we've done now manifests into something big. It shows up in a way that this is going to resonate with her dream clients, and she feels fantastic. She's having a great time in this brand. She feels confident. She looks professional. The same thing with one of our clients here. He runs a nonprofit for men, teaching manhood. Like, they're doing all things man in this brand. And so we wanted to create a sophisticated, happy Black man vibe for him. So, right. So this is sophisticated, upwardly mobile. We're doing the most. We're doing all the things we need to do. Black man brand. Same thing here. I love showing examples, not only because our clients look so fantastic, but because it shows you how all the work we were doing before now shows up in the world. So this is Reverend Rita, and she helps authors. Again, I attract a lot of people that work with authors. She works with authors and she helps them through 5-day book writing challenges, and then helps them actually implement the book writing process. But she primarily works with Christian authors. And so we had to create an image for her that also could show off her personality, but that was a little more conservative because she wanted to attract people, and she didn't want to, she didn't want to repel any people that might have been her ideal client. So we created an image for her, and this is true to her, but it also will resonate with her ideal client. So think about one of our favorite brands. I don't know if you love Starbucks like I do. It's my love language. I love going to Starbucks, but they have a very distinct personality and voice. Starbucks is for the hipsters. Starbucks is for people who are willing to pay $5 for a cup of coffee they could have got for $1 at McDonald's. But Starbucks tells a lot of stories about the people they work with, and because they care about the planet, and they source their coffee from sustainable places, and they make sure you know that. They make sure you care about that, because that also contributes to the fact that you're willing to pay $5 for that coffee instead of $1 from McDonald's. Now, if Starbucks wasn't doing anything and they didn't directly resonate with the people that go there, we wouldn't be willing to pay that premium price for the coffee, because it's just coffee. I mean, they do a good job of making it, but it's really just coffee. And so that's how their brand manifests, and it shows up in all their brand presence, whether you're on the website, on the app, on their gift cards, on their packaging. You know you're at Starbucks, right? So here's some more of the Starbucks collateral, and you see it's very cohesive across all their touch points. And again, they have a functional and expressive point of view as well. But like I was mentioning, it's all about the experience. Every year at Starbucks, they were writing about this, they do a taste test. And guess who comes in third? Starbucks. Dunkin' and McDonald's beats out Starbucks on taste every time. I don't know how, because in my mind, Starbucks tastes the best, but it's because they've created this brand experience around what their coffee is. And so I want you to understand this as we're going into implementation. This is a fact. I call it #facts. Perfectionism and procrastination do not play nice in the sandbox. They just don't. Getting your brand right on the first time, it's not likely, because you're growing, you're learning the business, and we can't procrastinate. We have to get out there on the field and put things out there and test them with our clients. So let's talk about getting those assets in formation. And so this is going to be a great time for me to just do a little pause and check the chat and see if we have some questions here. How's a blog created? So a blog can be created in many different ways. You can use a website creator called WordPress. That's the one that is best practices, and most people use that. You can also, if you're not technically savvy, use a platform called Medium. And you can blog on there for free, and it creates your own little, your own little mini website. If you're using other platforms that are DIY, I would suggest maybe something like Wix or Squarespace, but there's a lot of ways to create a blog. But it's just deciding, if you're going to create a blog, what is the point of view of the blog? What is the goal of blogging, unless you're a blogger, if you're using the blog to create your authority content. So don't forget, guys, drop your questions in the chat. No question is, all questions are good questions. And, I'm happy to go back and explore those. So let's talk about the assets in formation. If you decided, okay, I've done my brand strategy, I'm very clear on the big three: who I am, who I serve, what I sell. This is the stuff that people always want to know about when it comes to branding. Because your visual brand is designed to display and reinforce your position. I always read this slide because I think it's so important. Your visual brand is designed to display and reinforce your position in the marketplace. But remember this: bad branding traps your brilliance. I don't want to see any fuzzy photos out there in the world, because we have tools like Canva where we just don't have to make bad flyers and marketing materials and social media posts anymore. There's so many easy tools, or you can hire graphic designers to support you in there, because what it's going to do is it's going to make people not take you seriously. If they see you out there and you're what, she's saying there, a hot mess, people will just keep scrolling right on by you. So you have to take the time to invest in getting your branding in order. So a picture's worth 1,000 words. Right now, you look at selfie society. People want to see pictures either of yourself, they want to see pictures of your customers, they want to see themselves in the brand. So let's talk about how you get great pictures. So I love Sarah Jakes Roberts. I think her brand is phenomenal. I think she always looks fantastic. But here are some examples of great imagery, right? So I'm going to show you this picture, not on marketing collateral, but the purpose of pictures and having a professional photo shoot is so that you can create things just like this. So not only was she able to use it for the book cover, but then she was also able to use it to promote her appearances and other flyers. So here's a great way where we want to take pictures. This is the holy grail of pictures you should have in your brand, especially if you're a service provider and you're the brand. So you want to have your traditional headshots. And those are things when you're speaking on conferences or that appear on your corporate materials. But on social, people want to get to know who you are. So lifestyle photos, you in an environment. She's a very fashionable. She's a fashionista. She even has her own fashion brand. So showing her in a really cute outfit in a great place is very much on brand for her. But then in action and behind the scenes, this is her doing the work that we love. She's on stage. Look at her. She's bent over. She's in the moment. So we believe she is who she says she is. She's a prolific speaker, and we believe that because of the way she looks in her in action behind the scenes. If you are a brand and not necessarily a personal brand, but you sell a physical product, this is a great example of how I want to see products displayed. Support Black colleges, great brand. And here we see celebrities, we see their users wearing the product, living the lifestyle, supporting Black colleges. And so this makes me say, if I am resonating with these people and this message, I want that product. So these are great photos. And then if it's an actual physical product, this is just a flat lay. This is maybe a mock-up or something, but look how good those products look. They look like I'm like, oh, that must smell like coconuts and whatever beans those are. I think those are probably the cocoa butter. So I'm already wanting to smell whatever this product is just by the way it's displayed. It's fresh, it's got the leaves there. So this is a great way to display your physical products and then also an apparel line. But there's also a wrong way. When I tell you the right way, I like to show you the wrong way. So she's a beautiful girl, but the photo is way too close up, taken from the wrong angles. Her head and arms are cropped off. If this were sent in because she was going to be on a conference or speaking, they couldn't put her on the flyer. There's just a bunch of mistakes that were made here. And it's what a shame because she's such a beautiful girl. This over here, this lifestyle, not only, sure, wear your mask, but where is she? Is she in the jungle? We just don't look alive and vibrant. We're not making a connection with the camera. And then over here in action behind the scenes, if this were my office, I'd quit tomorrow. It looks barren. So sometimes we need to style things or take them from a different angle. There's no art on the wall. There's just no environment that makes this look inviting or that would stop the scroll. So we got to frame things visually when we're sharing our content that's meant to attract our dream customers. Again, with products, this is the wrong way. This looks like, somebody threw something in a box, no care was taken, the picture is fuzzy. So this is how we would not want to display our physical products. And then here, I support Black colleges. Well, it has nothing to do with the fact that this woman's not Black, because that would be the obvious thing that people go, well, she could support Black colleges. She doesn't necessarily have to be a Black person. That's not the problem. She doesn't look like she belongs in the brand. And there's all these weird captions around her, like, why do we have to say it's the best quality, made in the USA? This is not a lifestyle photo that makes me want to be part of this brand. She just doesn't look convincing that she's part of the brand. She's not making any eye contact. This is not something that you would want to share to make people want to be part of the brand. So I'm just going to really quickly jump into colors because colors have meanings, because you can't just pick your favorite color to be your brand colors. They need to be colors that have a meaning that resonates not only with yourself, but also with your ideal client. So thinking about when you choose your brand colors, don't just pick your favorite color. Maybe it could work, but there's a ton of exercises that we can do to get to the right colors that not only showcase your mission and vision and values, but also are going to resonate with your dream customers. So this is our brand colors. This is our perfect color scheme. Like, for example, I love pink. I love a really bright pink, but bright pink would not resonate with my ideal client, Corey, who is a 42-year-old woman. She's grown. So this is still our bold color, but we changed the shade. So this is an example of a perfect color scheme, and we use these colors all over our brand, and they just really work. And then fonts. So if you've had any experience in Canva, this is where some of us can get it really wrong. These are great font pairings that work well together. And so sometimes you just need to use the template. Don't go off on your own. Use the template that's designed to do this. And so there'll be fonts are usually in categories. And so your serif fonts, you'll look on there and something will say it's a serif font. So just a little education quickly on serif fonts. Those are the ones that are going to be more regal, luxe, and sophisticated. The sans serif font is classic. It's clean and can be used for almost anything. And it's rare that the sans serif is not appropriate. And then our script font, which is everybody's favorite, but it's so overused. We just have to be super careful with using the script font, but it's fancy. It's fancy and fun and free. And so the script font, it has its place in the brand, but we just need to be really careful with it. And this is how all of that starts to come together. So this is your tool in your business, your number one tool, what I like to call your brand style guide. And once you've done all this hard work, this is the little bitty document that you have that helps you create marketing materials on command, either yourself internally, if you're doing some DIY, or if you hire a graphic designer. They stay on brand because they have the codes, they know what fonts are approved, and they know how the brand should look with your textures. So here's some more examples of the brand board. This is your number one tool when it comes to your visual branding in your business, because it keeps everything honest. And you see that? These are just some examples. So all of my social media posts are now cohesive. And in between here, I would of course have some photos. I wouldn't just use 100% graphics. I'd use some videos, I'd put some reels, some short form stuff, but this is how the graphics should actually look. So this is a luxury palette. This one's a little more fun and bubblegum. And then here's a more sophisticated version of that. So remember that visuals are processed in the right side of the brain along emotions. We've said this word a lot tonight. You want to make an emotional connection with your dream customers, because emotions are what drive purchases. They are what drive loyalty. So you need a visual element to communicate an idea. And here are some silly examples of what might seem silly, but if you're talking about a dog in your marketing, what's more fun than a dog in a costume? If you're talking about food, food should always be very colorful and vibrant and attractive. And then in our brand, we talk about Black women a lot. So I'm always very conscious that we use beautiful images of Black women that resonate with how Black women look today, right? So it feels relevant and it feels modern. You want to make a communication that feels memorable and it feels like it's for that dream client. And there that statement is, again, you want to own the word in the mind. So as I promised, you have a workbook that will help you work through this and start creating your $1 million brand that connects and converts. And you'll just go to brandingactivated.com, you'll put in your email address, and then right after that, a page will pop up for you to download that. If you do it on your mobile, then you can just save it to your files. But I would suggest you do it on the computer and, make it some homework. Grab your favorite beverage, a coffee or tea or glass of wine, and put on some music and really give your brand the time it deserves. Because these are some questions that need to be answered if you really want to start to make that emotional connection that connects and converts with your dream customers. So I leave you with this. because I want to encourage you to take action. Your visual branding does not need to appeal to everybody. It's not for everybody. It's only for your dream customers. Not everyone's going to like what you do, and that's okay. I know we're like, I want everybody to love it, but it's really not for everybody. If everyone showed up, everyone in the world showed up to buy from you today, you couldn't handle them. So it's really about attracting the people you really want to work with. So I'll open the floor for some questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pop back over, and hopefully we can answer some questions for you. So I'm going to jump over to the chat. Should you create the business plan before the marketing starts? Absolutely. The business plan is going to be your guiding principle. So where are you trying to take the business? Because in the business plan, that's often going to be where you are establishing your mission and your vision and your values and what you sell. Because there's nothing worse than starting to market a product and then realizing it's not profitable. And so without the plan, you haven't done the forecasting, you haven't, decided on the cost of goods sold or any of those things. And now you're creating a marketing campaign and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I don't want to sell that. So I hope that answers your question there, Stephanie. And if not, let me know. And then what if you're already in an industry, then brand it off on your own? I'm having trouble putting me in a bucket. Okay, you sell real estate. Well, I've had some amazing conversations with real estate agents over the last couple of days. We're actually we just did an interview with Sherelle over at Sell in Tampa. She's going to be in the next cover of our magazine. And she's created an amazing brand for herself and her her brokerage. And so as a real estate agent, branding is more important than ever because you are the brand, and people want to buy homes from people that they resonate with and that they feel like are going to put them in a neighborhood and understand the environment that they want to be in. It's an experience where you're going to be meeting with that real estate agent, and you have to attract the people that want to buy the kind of houses that you sell. So if you sell luxury real estate, then you should feel luxury. If you sell family real estate, then you should talk about value, and you should talk about longevity and security and being stable in that environment. So really looking at the kinds of houses you sell, creating messaging around that, because some of your marketing materials, if you're selling homes that are for families, the 5 best schools in this zip code. And then now I have 7 houses listed in this zip code. And so if people want their kids to go to these kinds of schools, I've created content now that's going to attract them. I've created messaging around safety and security and the things that are important to families. How to brand to a diverse customer, range, age, socioeconomics, for food or meals. So I would love if Sharon, if you came off mute and if we could just sort of talk through this. Because I'd love to understand just a little bit more about your business so that I can give you a meaningful response.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. I am an entrepreneur and I'm also Jamaican. And I love to cook. And over the years, people have asked me, oh, do you make that Jamaican this, that, da, 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 da. So I decided to start my own catering.
Okay, great.
But I would like to build a brand that would attract a college student, anyone, kind of like my, let's say, Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, so I don't want to discourage you from that, but also Cheesecake Factory does still market to a very specific person. So Ruth Chris, and even though anybody can go to Ruth Chris and anyone can go to Applebee's, they're definitely talking to 2 different customers. And so really we want to think about from a perspective of, okay, if you're selling Jamaican food, you really have to have somebody who's open to worldly tastes, They have to have an
Yes.
eclectic palate. So we're
Yes.
not necessarily talking to the age, we're talking to their lifestyle. Like, are these people who are willing to explore different cuisines? So someone who eats sushi or someone who eats Korean food, you know, my kids are Korean food junkies, right? They love that stuff. And so I've raised them to have a very eclectic palate. But also we have to think about, what is our price point for our meals? If they're affordable meals, then maybe we can talk to college students. But a college student can't afford a $15 dinner. We have to be thinking about the price point so that we're attracting people who are open and interested to what we have, also want to have that experience, and then also can afford it.
Yeah, where I am, college students, $15 is doable. But I say college students because they always have to eat. And
Yeah, they do. I know, because I have a daughter in college and she's always using my card to buy food. So a $15 dinner is not a far stretch for her. But then we have, if the college student is going to be our ideal client, we have to think about what motivates them to buy. Oftentimes they want to share the food on the Instagram, right? They, even though they're eating something, they still want to share it on social. They want to have an experience. So really designing your ideal clients around that person and then creating an experience, because there's lots of options on DoorDash and the reviews can carry you, but you got to get to that place where people have had enough experience with it, where it's now I'm living off reviews.
yeah, I think the experience of just being Jamaican and Jamaica food.
Yeah, sharing the
It's what will
culture,
attract.
sharing all the fun stuff, all the unique things, what this food means. Like, you know, people are very into the backstory. So, you know, understanding what jerk seasoning is, or understanding why we have rice and peas as opposed to this is not rice and beans, you know, those kinds of things.
Okay, good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. My 13-year-old created a magazine, meaning you're never too young, for kid entrepreneurs. I love this. She's now on Now Watching and would like some advice on how to select which kids to feature and how to reach out to them for successful. Ooh, yay. Well, congratulations, little one. I love mini entrepreneurs, and this is a fantastic idea. I do want to I'll link you up with someone. I have a community of young entrepreneurs that you may want to connect with. So there's a plethora of folks over there. But generally speaking, you want to pick people that are going to resonate with your audience. So as the readers of the magazine, think about who's reading a magazine. Is this young girls, young boys? What is the approximate age range? Because let's just say our audience is younger kids. Let's say they're tweens. They're not necessarily going to resonate with an entrepreneur who's 5. So Ryan over on YouTube, you know, that's got all the millions, may not resonate as much. I'm sorry. May not resonate as much with a girl who's 12 years old, because she's like, that's little Ryan. He's over there just being silly on the internet. So as much as it's about the business, it's about the connection that they have with the people that you feature. So by way of example, our audience is primarily women in their late 30s and 40s. So we feature a lot of women entrepreneurs in the magazine that are around that same age range. Because if I was only featuring young 20-somethings, then it feels like I can't do that. That's just for the young girls that are out there on Instagram. We've got to feature women that resonate with our ideal client, our ideal readers. And then when reaching out to them, there's a few things you want to make sure you're always doing. First and foremost, showing them examples of how they're going to look in the magazine. So showing them what you've already done, and then making the request for them, not for you, or making the request for your audience. I saw what you did. Make sure you're very specific. I was looking on your Instagram the other day and I can't believe how amazing your new product XYZ is. So it's not a generic request, right? We're making a request based on something we saw, something that resonated with us. And I'd love to share your story with our audience. I think they would resonate with you because, and here are the benefits. So making the request personalized and really being thoughtful of their time and energy, sending questions ahead of time if that's important to them, and creating an environment where it's as easy as possible for them to do the interviews. I hope that, congratulations. Running a
Thank
magazine
you.
is a big thing. And so, you know, my email is always open to you if you need any support with that, because it's a big job, but I know you can handle it.
Okay, thank you so much for the advice. I'll really take it.
Congratulations. How do you figure out your perfect customer is? Yay. So if you don't already have customers, you can figure out your perfect customer by looking at your competitors or looking at other people in the environment, and also being honest with yourself about the kind of people that you get excited to work with. I love working with women. I love working with grown women, women who have families and children, because I understand the breadth of that. So thinking about in your environment, what kind of people get you excited, or what kind of people typically get very excited about what you're doing. And then you start to create this profile, and you get to play make believe a little bit. We've got a few worksheets that can help you through that. You're looking at who they are, their demographics, where they live, and you're really just kind of making this person up until you start to get a more breadth and more customers. And then you start to pick out attributes of your dream customers: the customer that paid on time, the customer that didn't have any complaints, the customer that got the most results. And you start to create this persona, and it's ongoing. Our girl Corey has evolved over the years. She's grown as our business has grown. And so you're going to want to just create this profile of, not where does she shop? This is my favorite question for identifying your ideal client. What restaurant would she eat at if her best girlfriend had just passed the bar? Because this is the restaurant that's special to her. And what kind of experience would she want to have? And so my girl, she likes nice things, she travels. And so some people might say she'd go to Morton's or Ruth Chris. But I would say she would go to a restaurant that was just featured in the local paper and that has a Michelin star chef, because she wants to create an experience and a memory. Because my girl has to be open-minded and worldly. And so when we're saying that, it wasn't the bill, because the bill is for both restaurants will be about $300 or $400. So it wasn't the bill that helped her make the choice. It was the experience. And now I can start to pick out things about how she lives her lifestyle to determine my ideal client and how I show up in the world and the things I share that make her resonate with me. So I hope that, Tamara, I hope that answers your question. I run a traditional publishing company. Of the target customers you serve, single mothers and couples, definitely valuing what's important to me. Cool beans. Well, I think that if I've missed any questions, please just redrop them in the chat. I don't think that I've missed anything. I'm just scrolling here. All right, perfect. So what I like to always end my trainings with is drop in the chat one thing that you're going to implement within the next 48 hours. One thing that you've written down that you're going to start taking action on in the next 48 hours. Even if you're not going to finish it and check the box, what is the one thing that you're going to be focused on based on what you've learned here today in the next 48 hours? That's your public commitment. So cool beans, Tamara. I think I have answered all the questions. Tara. I think Tara's on mute. Finishing your plan, yes. Finding images. I love these commitments. Ursula, finding your images to represent lifestyle, front shoot, and then action. Yes, and you can do these with your cell phone. Here's a pro tip for your cell phone photos. Ladies and gentlemen as well. Gentlemen, get a fresh haircut and looking fly, feeling like your interview self. Ladies, if you don't love wearing makeup or anything like that, I still suggest you put some on just because it makes you feel like your most polished self. So either do it yourself, or I even like to find a local makeup artist that will come and just make me feel super beautiful if I'm not working with a photographer. And I pull that iPhone out and away, and you can get some great shots with your cell phone, especially for your social media. All righty.
Great info.
Quick question, would we be getting the recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The recording will be, the link for the recording will be emailed to everyone.
Thank you, Enisha. This was very, very informative.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy you got value. Can't wait to see what you do next.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll be creating stories that will attract people.
Great.
Stories are great.
Yeah, food, Jamaica, climate, places to visit outside of the norm.
I love it.
Lots and lots.
Thank you
And
all for
even-
attending. Are there any more questions before we wrap up? Please be sure to complete the survey and give us any feedback. We will be providing Anisha's information for contact information. And we will select winners who complete the survey, random winners, and you can win a session with her that will be paid for by MP Services. So please be sure to do that.
That's amazing.
I'm just making sure no other questions. It looks like they're just signing off, so cool. I ended the recording.
Oh,
I-
still
You
shows
did?
up.
I think I did. Yeah, it's not, yeah.
Oh,
I
I
did.
think it still shows it's recording on my end.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yep.